Okay, so I'm Matt Davies from the British Plastics Federation. Just super quickly, we're the trade association for the plastics industry. So anyone that manufactures or molds plastics, recycles plastics, provides equipment, it's the entire supply chain of the plastics industry. We represent them. The two things I'm going to talk about is one of them, the first one is recyclability by design, and then also the PVC sector of the plastics industry recently ran a competition on reuse, not necessarily recycling, the step before that, which I'll go into details because we ran that in conjunction with the Materials and Design Exchange. So the first thing I wanted to sort of highlight and promote is a booklet that we've just sort of released in conjunction with Recoup, who did a lot of the work, so big thanks to them, and it's called Recyclability by Design. Obviously, plastic waste is a big issue at the moment, and the main focus pretty much is on packaging. You don't really see construction materials floating around in the ocean. You don't see double-glazed windows being littered. So the main thing is packaging, and this guide is just to help make sure that people are considering, packaging typically it needs to obviously look good, it needs to be cost-effective, but we also want to make sure that third tenet, sustainability, is considered when designing a product, whether it be packaging or something else. So there's detailed tips in this guide. I'm just going to give you the surface level stuff quickly. Just tips such as using the same material. For example, if you've got some paper packaging with a plastic window, that's multi-material, means it's probably not recyclable, and that's not useful. Innovation is key to making plastics and the plastics industry more sustainable, but there's already simple design things we can do now to make current packaging more recyclable. The other one there, Minimising Colour. I know Rory touched on the milk bottles there. So, for example, the lids that you'll find on milk bottles, they were, I can't remember when it was, 10 or 15 years ago, they got together and changed the pigment that was going into those milk top bottles so that when they were recycled, the material could be recovered and go back into food contact. Easy separable closures. Again, that just means that the different materials that might be used, if it is more than one, can easily be separated. Avoiding full sleeves, again, that just ensures that the materials are easily separated. It's good for the recycler. It means that material can be recycled. And small, easily removable labels, again, it just aids the process. It makes it easier for the consumer, which ultimately means that piece of packaging or product can be recycled. Because that's the other thing. When people talk about recycling rates in the UK, there is a certain amount of household recycler that is contaminated and therefore has to go to landfill. So can we make it easier for the consumer so they can separate their waste properly? And just the last point on this guide is that within it you'll find material-specific guidelines per the materials that some of my colleagues spoke about earlier as well. So things like PET bottles, which is the main liquid bottle that you'll find around. Things like Coke bottles and water typically use PET. HDPE, polypropylene, polystyrene as well. So that brings me on to the competition that we recently ran that I wanted to talk about. So the PVC industry is a particular sector of the plastics industry, and PVC is predominantly used in construction. It's made a lot of leaps and bounds over the last few decades because back in the 80s and 90s was not the most sustainable industry. There wasn't really any recycling. It was sent to incineration, which would release dioxins. There was a lot of concerns about some of the additives that went into PVC. And that's why you don't really find it nowadays in consumer products, apart from fashion, things like PVC skirts, Mac raincoats, and those kind of things. So the industry, about 20 years ago, had set up some voluntary initiatives to start becoming more sustainable. And the first one was Vinyl 2010. And the idea of that was to establish recycling targets for PVC, which they've now done, remove some of the more questionable additives that are in there. So within the EU, there's no lead stabilizers used within PVC production. There is no cadmium additives used within the PVC sector. And they've also set up recycling targets. So last year, there was over 640,000 tons of PVC recycled across Europe. So recycling is pretty well established. It's typically construction products, like I said, double-glazed windows, flooring, roofing, those kind of things. So the industry thought, okay, can we look at reuse? Because recycling is a mechanical process. Can someone innovate a new product that takes these materials and puts them in a new format and reuses them without the recycling process? So that's where this PVC redesigned competition came about. It was done in conjunction with IOM3 and also the Materials and Design Exchange. Bernie Rickinson, who's in the audience, was a massive help in setting up this competition and getting it going. And essentially, we opened it up to 6 design universities within the UK. And the idea was, as it says there, look at designing using certain PVC items an innovative reuse item. Obviously, us in the industry, we're a bit technical and a bit boring. We're not the best at design, so thought we'd open it up to design universities. And as a result, we got our 3 finalists who I just wanted to highlight. So the winning design was Karen Silver from London South Bank University, so I've got a typo in the top right there. And her winning design was called UNA, and it was for a portable water filtration device for use in developing nations. The idea behind it was to take some PVC guttering, a PVC valve as well, add a water filtration system inside it, and you could, with the help of charities, donate this to developing nations so they could collect water, sanitize it, and use it obviously for drinking. So it's tackling a really important sustainable development goal within the United Nations, and also reusing these PVC products. There's a bit more detail there, so I appreciate you probably can't see the writing that well. But it's just to show you there's some information there about the design and how it used the valve and the PVC pipes. And again, the winning designs, the students really went into detail about how to make their product and also the actual economy of how that product would then be collected as well. Second place was Kristen Tapping, again from London South Bank University. And she had put together a PVC roofing system that also collected rainwater. Now, it might seem like a relatively simple idea. I mean, PVC is already used for roofing and guttering. But the realistic nature of this design is something that really impressed the judges. Again, like I said, high level of detail in terms of what they would use, PVC guttering, PVC pipes, and other PVC materials to create a water buck system to also collect rainwater. It's something that would be relatively cost effective to put together as well, and the route to market was seen as quite quick. So again, hence the reason it scored highly. And just a few more details there, again, about the specific materials, the dimensions, and also the economy of how they would manufacture it, stick it all together, how they would then collect it, and complete the circular economy. And the third place was from the Royal College of Arts, and that was a lady called Helen Benz. So we had 3 female winners, which was great. And this was looking at, I don't know if any of you have heard of the Nari menstrual cups. They're reusable menstrual cups. And she was focusing on the lack of sanitation within rural India. And wanted to create a sanitation device for these menstrual cups. So she came up with this design, and essentially, using some reusing PVC items, including guttering and things, again adding a water filtration system, you'll be able to collect water that might not be the cleanest, it would filter through, you could shake it around, use that to clean the menstrual device, and it would be targeted again at women within places like rural India that might not have access to some of these items. And that's it. That was our redesign competition. And that's my slides done. Just in time. Thank you.